I think a lot of it comes from the school system. I think kids are taught that school is supposed to look and be a certain way and that the teacher has all the answers, and so a lot of kids really struggle with that uncomfortability to know that there has to be a little bit of a struggle, and sometimes they just want you to tell them, like, what is the answer? Like, I'll just give it to you. Like, just tell me what it is and I'll give it to you. And I think because, that starts really early, they're told, like, you need to just sit and listen to the teacher, but, like, what does that really mean? And so they never were really, like, creators of what they were doing. And so I think the biggest challenge is actually just breaking what we did to them previously, or what, like, their perception of school was before maybe they even came in, that they're just supposed to sit and be quiet and, like, produce answers that are already predetermined. And so I think that's what I've seen is kind of the biggest struggle.
I think a big challenge is they go from, sitting and the teacher being in charge of everything that they're doing to having a little bit more choice within something. Also, thinking about that growth mindset. That's been a big focus all year for my class. And, when you're struggling with something, what can you do? The teacher's not the only one who can be there to help you. How do you overcome that within yourself? Because that frustration can become really hard for a kid to get past.
Well, I think it is really difficult for students in the same way that it's been really difficult for a lot of teachers to transition into teaching like this, because we've never taught like this and they've never learned like this. Kids want you to tell them, this is exactly what you're supposed to do, this is exactly when, that's it. I think some students don't want that kind of responsibility, and as soon as, maybe that's not the way they would put it, but having that responsibility on them to own it is really uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable, and they've been very used to this very passive, get my education, someone who, like, gives it to me. It's almost like a victim, like, it's happening to me, not with me. Mentality is really hard to break.
We get taught as we get older, that's not the right question, don't ask that question, and it's like, when they do paperclip experiments with adults and they say, what can you use this for, they can come up with like 50, you put a paperclip in front of a kindergartner and say, what can you do with this? You better devote your entire morning, because you'll have a list that goes up and right, because they don't think about constraints. They don't think about, well, this is how you do school.
Right.
And so that's some of it too, is undoing some of this, like, no, actually I want you to say that. I want you to think about that. I want you to investigate that, and let's figure out a way that you can do that in a critical, way. Just because it's on the internet does not make it true, and we need you to be good, critical consumers of that information. But they followed me around for the first 3 weeks like chickens, like everything they did. Look what I did. See, is it good enough? Is it good enough? Is it good? And I'm like, guys, that's not the way we're going to operate in here. You do not need an adult to tell you if it's good enough. You have each other, you have yourself, you have your own measure of good. Like, stop following me around the room. And it took a really long time to, I don't get it. I don't understand. Put your hand down. I'm not going to drive by and save you. Save yourself. And not because I'm unkind or cruel, but there is a power of not knowing something and figuring out for yourself that cannot be replicated in any other way except for to do it, right? So I think that has been a challenge, because they were used to being rescued.